Madam Vice President, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, I am honored to address you today in my capacity as the chair of the Expert Mechanism on the Right to Development and to present our annual report and a thematic study on individual and collective dimensions of the right to development. Since our last report to this Council in September last year, the Expert Mechanism has held 2 sessions, the 8th session in Geneva in October 2023 and the 9th session in New York in April 2024. Due to the United Nations budget liquidity situation, our session in New York was limited to 2 days instead of the 3 days initially mandated by this Council. The Expert Mechanism continued to engage and ensure coordination of activities with the Right to Development Intergovernmental Working Group, as well as the mandate of the Special Rapporteur. On behalf of my colleagues, I would like to thank the Chair of the Working Group on the Right to Development, His Excellency Ambassador Zamir Akram, and the Special Rapporteur on the Right to Development, Mr. Surya Dev, for their continuous support and collaboration with us. The consultation with the Working Group Chair and the Special Rapporteur took place through video messages rather than in-person interactive dialogue, again due to the United Nations budget constraints. During each annual session, we held a series of thematic discussions and interactive dialogues on various dimensions of the right to development and addressed critical issues related to the operationalization of this fundamental human right. Through these discussions, we fostered meaningful exchanges of viewpoints and experiences among member states and relevant stakeholders, including United Nations agencies and civil society representatives. In concluding the thematic discussions and sessions, the Expert Mechanism has recognized the urgency for collective action and international cooperation to address the climate crisis based on the principle of common but differentiated responsibilities and respective capabilities in the light of national circumstances, and enhancing access to international climate finance, technology transfer, and capacity building to support mitigation and adaptation efforts in developing and least developed countries. We recognized that access to technology is a critical component of the right to development, and that the digital economy and artificial intelligence are exponents of existing gaps between and among countries, but also opportunities to accelerate and diversify development processes, especially if their inherent risks are adequately addressed. We acknowledge the challenges women face to realize their right to development, such as discrimination, stereotypes, violence, poverty, excessive care responsibilities, and gender gaps, as well as the digital divide. Women's active, free, and meaningful participation in development, and especially in decision-making, is essential. We recognize the imperative to harmonize global agendas and for global agreements to be grounded in trust-building and inclusion principles. Successful development cooperation should ensure respect for national policy space, foster innovation, strengthen monitoring and evaluation, be aligned with national priorities and frameworks, and enhance national capacities to overcome absorption challenges, including in project and data management. As regards climate financing, we consider that it cannot serve as a substitute for financing for other forms of international development cooperation. Rather, it should be viewed as an additional component. These and other conclusions and recommendations arising from our deliberations are reflected in our annual report. We deeply appreciate the active participation in both sessions of member states, United Nations entities and independent experts, academics, national human rights institutions, and non-governmental organizations, and the enriching and frank discussions they brought to the sessions. Madam Vice President, distinguished delegates, at our 8th session, the Expert Mechanism also dedicated a discussion to gather feedback on our proposed thematic studies and to solicit ideas for additional areas of research. During this discussion, several stakeholders sought a deeper understanding of the individual and collective dimensions of the right to development within international human rights law and their practical implications for the duties of states and other duty bearers. In response, my fellow expert Bonnie Ibhavo and I developed the study. Its overview was discussed during our 9th session, where we received valuable and constructive feedback. I'm pleased to present to you today the finalized thematic study, Individual and Collective Dimensions of the Right to Development, as contained in document A/HRC57/40. The study explores the individual and collective dimensions of the right to development in its 3 substantive elements: participation, equality of development opportunity, and self-determination. All these 3 elements have individual and collective dimensions. Our analysis emphasizes the interconnectedness and interdependence of individual and collective rights. Individual freedoms and societal advancement are not competitive but complementary. The right to development asserts that personal liberties, such as access to education, healthcare, and cultural engagement, are integral to societal growth. Conversely, it also asserts that collective welfare, such as ensuring peace, sustainable development, and a healthy environment, is vital if individuals are to enjoy their rights fully. It clarifies the concept of peoples as rights holders of self-determined development. It also provides guidance on how to resolve situations where there is a real or apparent conflict between an individual's right to development and the collective right of peoples to development. We hope that this study will contribute to the deliberations of the Human Rights Council and be useful to member states and other stakeholders in advancing the right to development. As concluded in our thematic report, when development is approached holistically as both an individual and collective human right, it fosters an environment where individuals and communities can contribute to and benefit from the shared progress of humanities. Madam Vice President, unfortunately, the liquidity crisis of the United Nations regular budget continued onto this year, affecting several aspects of our mandate. We were not able to organize country study visits this year or to invite guest speakers, including mandate holders, to participate in our annual sessions. We also faced reduction in other mandated activities, for example, participation and contribution to United Nations and international conferences and meetings in mainstreaming the right to development. Despite these and other challenges, we endeavor to do our best to engage with and support member states, civil society, and other stakeholders in different venues and channels. Looking ahead, our upcoming 10th session of the expert mechanism is taking place next month from 28th to 30th October, and we eagerly anticipate your participation. I look forward to our interactive dialogue and guidance in the effective implementation of the mandate of our mechanism. I thank you for your attention.